Hello, I'm Daniela. Stitch the Season 2022 is going to be starting soon, but I wanted to show this video where I purchased some supplies that are a little different than your average fabric and thread. Now, all the supplies that I purchased I'm going to use in my book, or at least I think I'm going to use in my book, and they're all completely optional. I'll explain why I purchased them, because you don't have to purchase the same objects, but I'll give you the rationale for why I purchased them, and you might find that you enjoy them and you want to purchase them, or you have an object already in your home that you can use in your journal. Most of these supplies I find at the discount stores or the Walmarts and the department stores. They're very easy to come across, and they're more of a field of items than a specific item. So let's get started, and I'll show you some of the little treasures that I've found. Now these are just some of the basic supplies that I use for the Stitch the Season series. I take out my Christmas fabric. This is not all of it by any means, but this is the main pieces I want to focus on. I also have a bin of various scraps that are pretty much these color schemes as well as Christmas fabric, and I'll use those as well, just for little touches here and there. This year, my colors are going to be red and green, the obvious Christmas colors. I'm going to use cream, and then I found this beautiful fabric this year. This really inspired me, so I'm going to incorporate black into my Christmas. It's a little different than I usually do. These four colors are not the only ones I'm going to use by any stretch, but these are going to be my dominant colors, so I'm going to really kind of stress using these in my work. I'll go through my stash and pull out more reds and greens and blacks as well to use. I choose some ribbon. Again, this is completely optional. The only thing you really need is your fabric, thread, needles, and scissors. Any embellishments you have, whether it's beads or shells, ribbons, this type of thing, make the piece more interesting, more richly textured, and really personal to you. That's not to say you can't make a beautiful result with just fabric and thread, because you can. Now, for these fabrics, these are like I call them my accessories. The bones of my piece is this quilted fabric that I use. You don't need to use quilted fabric. I just love stitching through it. I love the feel of it, the weight of it, the quietness of it. You can also use any fabric. This is muslin. It's a very thicker muslin than usual. So this would be another good structure, another basis for your book. In the planning and prep video, we'll go over cutting it, making your template, and the sizes that you might want to use. But I just wanted to give you a little heads up of what things to set aside or gather to create this project. I have my embroidery floss. I have some pearl thread here, just for some simple thread that I don't need to separate from the embroidery floss. And of course, my Christmas pin cushion and pins. From there, I have lots of little accessories that I can't wait to show you, that I found at various discount stores. None of these are required. This is completely all optional, and I'm sure there's far more than you can come up with as well. Not only things that you see, but things you have in your stash. So for the Stitch the series, now this is the sample that I made just to show you. I want to show you some supplies that I purchased that aren't your typical fabric and thread, because we'll use all of those Christmas fabrics, colored fabrics, whatever you have, as well as thread for the project. But these are some other things you might want to consider. You can also just drop it all together. You don't have to get these things, but I noticed the store's been putting out these things pretty much in September for Christmas, and if you don't purchase them, you can lose them if that's something you wanted. So we'll start here. We have one prompt that's going to be a filled item. So I just stitched this from an old dish towel. You can do that, so you don't need to purchase these items, but some of the dollar stores, the discount stores, Walmarts, those type of places have items that you can transform to use for this piece, as well as things to stuff in it, the accessories. So these are the type of things to look out for if this interests you. So I noticed this year they have these little bags. They're sold as ornaments. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Walmart, they all have these little things. They're just filled with stuffing. So this can be used as your little pocket inside your journal if you want it. We'll just take it apart, maybe cut off the top, add a layer. So that's a thought that you can do if you don't want to stitch your own little piece. There are also some other options in the similar vein. So if you're not someone that wants to create a sack, you can use maybe a mitten or a stocking. And you can find these. They're all fabric. They're sold at various places, discount stores. Again, these are stuffed, so we take those apart, take these little things off of them, but they can be salvaged if that's something you like. Walmart had these cute little stockings, these mini stockings. They're a little big for a book, but they can be cut down or they can be used on the cover or tucked in. So that's an idea as well. So now for the filler for our pocket. Well, you could fill it with anything, paper, letters. I had some things left over from previous years and some things that I saw this year that I wanted to show you. So now you can buy these little ornament kits or these little stuffed felt ornaments, and these would make really cute textile things to tuck in your pockets. Again, this was only $1, but it gives a cute effect, and it can be embellished further or taken apart and just use the basics. These are just felt ornaments. You can either create one just with glue and use that just to tuck it in, or even cut part of it off, make it look like it's sticking out of your pocket. You can use these. This is unembellished. These are just the flat felt ornaments. These are the felt stickers. I just think they're adorable. These are from years past that I just collected because they're textile. So this is a really cute mini stocking. This might look cute tucked in a sack. This is a little Santa reindeer here, Rudolph, with the nose, which is pretty cute. There's also other felt shapes, like the trees, and that's a cute thing to stick in one of those pockets. This is another ornament, again, from one of the dollar stores, and it's just styrofoam. If your pocket's big enough, this would be really cute sticking out of your pocket. And again, you could take this off and embellish it further. There are a few other items that you might want to use as well. I'm sure if you look around the house, you'll find a few, but there are some ideas that I have. Now, if you find these pipe cleaners, the Chanel stems with the red and white, you can make little candy canes out of them. So that's a cute idea that you might want to consider. You could also twist together a white and a red to make your own. These little DIY stickers, again, they're little wooden shapes. They've got the sticker on the back, but you could take the adhesive off. You could either embellish it or just use it as it is. And because the snowflake here has holes in it, it can be stitched down. It's very lightweight. It's kind of a cute touch you might want to use in your work somewhere. On Etsy, I found this little felted wool candy cane, which is adorable. These are just some old little crocheted ornaments I found at a thrift store. But when I see them, I pick them up because I think they might be cute in my fabric books. This, I think, was from Joann Fabrics, and it's just like a patch. This one is an iron-on patch, but it has the theme for Christmas. It may come in handy. It might not, at least not yet, but I think it's adorable. And then I use some sticks. Some of these are sticks, some of these bamboo skewers, and we'll use those in our project. If you don't have those, you can use other items. It's a little accessory you may or may not like. I saved my ribbon bows because I think they're adorable to use throughout the book, so that's another idea. I showed a technique in a previous video of wrapping floss around a ring. So I found these wood rings at Dollar Tree. It's really hit or miss. I know a lot of people have found them in the past. I finally just found it. So it may or may not be useful, but you don't need to use these. I use just little rings here, little O-rings and little washers. You can wrap those just as easily. You just find the size that fits your purpose. These little ornaments, this is a plastic ornament, but it would be nice tucked into a pocket as well. I'm using buttons. I have all different colors, but just to show you, some buttons we'll wrap them, and some we can use just stitched on. I found this beautiful white Chanel thread, and I think this would make a great Santa's beard. I might use this as well, or I could just use fabric. Now here's another example of a textile ornament. Came with a pack of 3. Looks like a little sweater with a little felt on the back, and it has that bell. It's adorable. I might be able to take some of this stuffing out to make it a little flat to use in my book, but I think it's quite clever. Do have a couple more things. Now this is from one of the dollar stores. It's a little microfiber cloth, and I just love that beautiful texture of that white, and I think this would make a lovely background page or maybe even a beard for one of the creatures in our book. So I picked that up. I may or may not use that. Depends on how I'm feeling about it. Found these white beads because I just think they're beautiful. They make great noses. They can be painted, and they can be just strung to hang off the book. Now this is just a little Santa suit. I don't know what people do with it, but it's textile, and it would be great in our book. I really don't know what they use it for other than that. I'm sure there's a purpose. So I have these two little cases that I keep. This is full of just pom-poms, wool felt balls, little beads, string, things, this type of thing. These are things that come in these little project packs that I can't use at the time, but I think they might be valuable at some point. There's some felt stickers as well. And I just keep these together in this little crate. And then over here, this is just from years of collecting. There's different Christmas beads, little jewelry, some buttons, anything Christmas related. Some little faux pine cones. And these might be useful in my book as well. There's teeny little bells, just wooden stars, deer, and a little button snowman nose, as well as my Christmas charms. So I keep these. I may or may not use them, but it's nice to have that ability to go through my supplies, my inventory, and see what I have. And you never know when you're going to find something, particularly something little, that might really enhance your project. I also found this cut out intricate snowflake in one of the discount stores. Again, I don't know when I found it, but I have these in my stash, and they're very thin felt. They'd be nice to add to a journal. I created these other felt designs for the holly, and I don't usually work with felt, but for the winter I think it's so appropriate and so fun. Now I'm sure you have lots of supplies that you can use in your work, and they don't have to be all Christmas related. So those are some of the found objects that I might use in my journal. If I don't use them this year, I'll set them aside and use them in the future. It's just kind of an interesting idea, maybe a time saver, or maybe the pattern or the object itself is kind of important to you, or it strikes a chord in your memories. So it's kind of a fun thing to include in your journal. And these are items that I keep in mind that usually have a textile basis, or at least they're flat enough that I can use them in my work. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for joining me today.